I would like to start this presentation with a little exercise, very simple one. Just close your eyes. Just feel inside. Let go of everything that's going on right now. And just feel what's behind. Feel you, your own self, your own sense of existence. Beyond your name, beyond your gender, your circumstances, nationality, everything. Just sense that being that is listening to my words right now. And just sensing that place of no labels, just existing. So come back to your normal self, maybe a curious one, because I'm going to try to present something dear to my heart and in itself quite fast. But I'm going to try and make it short. It's not always easy. So what I want to talk about is a technique that I've learned long time ago, developed by a wonderful couple called Hal and Sidra Stone that have been living in United States, in California. And they were both clinical psychologists, and they have developed what is now known as a voice dialogue. So what is voice dialogue? In the beginning, Hal and Sidra had discovered that we were not just, one person, one persona, one self. They have clearly discovered and worked with many different selves inside our psyche, and found a way to work with them. And the way to work with them is to separate them out and to work separately with the different voices. They call selves or voices. That's why the name came voice dialogue, because the different voices in us, we're going to have a dialogue with them, to get to know them. And in voice dialogue, what we do in a session is we come with the normal self, the normal ego, and find out what is dominant, what is primary, what are the primary selves, what are the energies we most identify with. And Hal and Sidra, they discovered many things, like somebody you probably know, unfortunately, which called the inner critic. Some voice inside always telling you, this is not good enough, you're not doing it okay, look at you, and I'm trying myself not to listen to it right now. Or, the pusher. Some voice in us saying, you have to do more, you have to, look at your list, you barely started. Or, pleaser. Somebody wants to please everybody but forgets about himself. So these are primary voices. And we could have an example of a session. For instance, a person comes to a voice dialogue facilitator and has a session. And during the session, she says that, I have a problem with shyness. I really, I get scared and I'm very shy to talk, and that's who I am. It's really difficult to overcome that. And voice dialogue facilitator will talk to that, engage that persona, make it quite clear. And at some point, we'll invite the person to move away from the primary chair to the ego chair. Ask, where do you feel that? Imagine that energy is somewhere here in the room or next to you. Or is it more on the right or on the left? And let's keep it simple. Now we're going to say that the person chooses the right, like the chair on the right. In a voice dialogue session, we put many chairs as an opportunity to use these different voices. So the person says, "Yeah, okay, I'm going on the right here," and then the facilitator will invite the person to sit on that chair, and while the person is on that chair, this whole energy of shyness is going to be come out fully. Like when it was just 25% before, it will be increased as much as possible. And the facilitator will engage into a dialogue with that part to make it really clear, to really feel that part and what it means to be that part and how it behaves and everything. Any information is important. So after a while, when it's really clear, that shy part has had full stage, the facilitator will ask the person, "Yeah, okay, thank you very much, you shy part, let's move back to you," and going to name her, because the separation between the voice and the person is also enhanced in naming the person to that voice. So she's coming back to her normal self, and then something really important happens. Something like a revelation. The person comes back and takes a while to just settle in, and then the facilitator will ask, "Can you feel the difference? Can you feel how different it feels to sit here in your normal self and to know that the shy part is here on your right?" And that's quite a aha experience, because that will be maybe the first time that person experiences that with which she has been identified, this shyness, is just a part of her. We can separate it out, this separation. And this separation will help to disidentify with something, an energy, a habit that person had, a mental habit, because it was a mental habit. It was, of course, came about through, some experiences, negative things in childhood, whatever. Suddenly that persona was there, like a real person, like a real system. But when we work with voice dialogue, we separate it out locally, geographically, on a different location, and we engage a dialogue which will make it clear to the person coming back to her normal self that this is a part, that's just a part. And so we have many, many different energies, personas in our psyche. And the primary system is the main voices, the main characters with which we identify. But like in our example, this person was very much identified with being shy. So another opposite energy of being a bit more, self-confident, bold, was unknown to her. But was it absent of her system? I say no. It was there, but it was suppressed. It was really suppressed. In order to be fully identified with that part that is very shy. So in a voice dialogue, one can, and that's also a good example of how voice dialogue works, we can look what's on the other side, because we work with polarities. What's on the other side of shyness? Assertiveness, boldness, Okay, in the session, when the person is in the normal ego self again, the facilitator can engage her and ask, can you imagine there's something on the other side of shyness? Have you ever felt, confident and eager to talk, and all that kind of opposite of what she was talking about before? And with a bit of luck, the person will yes, sometimes it has happened, but it was really scary, and but as soon as you have a little threat, you just pull it and bring the person to feel that other side. And like we did with the shy self, we're going to ask that person to place that bold, confident self on another chair. She will again move away from the ego place and then go to that other chair where the facilitator will engage again and try to make that energy as strong as possible. Imagine if you could, and blah blah, bring the person to really feel that energy. And at some point it's like switching on some energy, like moving, turning up the energy. You can turn it up and you can turn it down, but here we're turning it up. And the person will start feeling that side. And like we did before, after a while, we'll come back to the normal ego place, to the normal self. And there the person will feel, wow, I also have that kind of energy in me. I just I had a hunch that it could be, but I always, suppressed it, because she was identified with being shy, and so facilitator can ask, can you feel both sides? Can you just, be in the middle of that? Like wow, and the person will also, maybe that happens in the first session, maybe it happens in the second session, but this is a typical voice dialogue session where one feels two polar opposite. And when we do that, something gets strengthened in us. It's this middle part, it's this center, maybe part of the being that we felt when I started to make this presentation, your own sense of self, that has no color, that has no different, no particular energy, but can, sees it all, has a choice, can, kind of sweat in the middle of opposite energies. And that's, in voice dialogue, is called the aware ego. Aware ego. So, so we do this work to get to know that center place that has a choice, that is really there, and that's not just an energy. It's like, a good analogy, a modern analogy would be a computer game. So when you are playing a very elaborate, complex game, you have an avatar. You choose like a figure that is, you in the game, and you're going to acquire certain powers, certain weapons, certain qualities, and you're going to play the game. And maybe, if you would get a completely immersive game where you are, nowadays you start having that, you're going to forget that you're the player behind. You're going to identify with this avatar. And what we do in voice dialogue is really getting to know these avatars and talking to them and realizing, well, no, these are just figures. These are just characters on a theater, stage. We use them. We use them in certain circumstances, but it's not us. Like in the game, we're the player. We're not the avatar. So, everybody can understand that they are different when they are with their best friend, or if they work and have a boss, when they're with their boss, or when they are, with their kids, or when they go shopping, or when they're hurrying and they're late for an appointment. All these kind of energies are very different. And it's always you. But what you forget is that it is you. You start just to be this angry one, to be this pleasing one, to be this negative, critical one, and some people say, I am like that. I've always been like that. I'm probably never going to change. This is BS, a simple voice dialogue session will it's just experientially make you feel that these parts, sometimes even the very strongest part you have been always identified with, is just a part of you. And it opens up the space, it opens up the inner space. And it reinforces that connection with the inner self, with the aware ego that sees all these different energies, these different voices, however you call them. So, in voice dialogue, there's so much more to it. There's couples work. There's where two people in a couple, a man and a woman. In the beginning, they're very happy together and find them very attractive. But after a while, they will find out maybe that one has the disowned, the opposite selves of the other one, and that makes things interesting. And so one can work with partners and them finding out what they are identified with and what they have been attracted to in the other person. So we can, and it's fun, So I actually invite you to join a group. A long time ago, in the 90s, I had created a group, and we were like half a dozen people. We were meeting like every 2 weeks and exchanging sessions. We were actually, one being the person and the other one being the facilitator, and then swapping. And you learn how to facilitate, how to give a session, how to feel the energy, because it's also very energetic work. Feel the energy in the other and strengthen it and stay with it. And, we observe sessions also. Two people have a session and the other people stay around and observe the session. So if you're interested, I would very much love to reconnect with that work, because that work has evolved also from the 90s. So I have evolved, and my whole vision of what you can do with voice dialogue, Of course you need a partner, but I have even evolved it to sometimes I have an inner dialogue of part of myself because I know them, and that's really, really interesting. But, all these things we can learn in a group and explore, because it's very much about exploring and having fun. And if we have a problem, okay, we can go to that problem, have that problem talk directly, and get so much and so rapidly information. You know, in my humble opinion, you know, if you use that as a therapist, you can have so much faster results because you actually work with the energies. You go directly to the problem, to the shyness, to whatever, and create an awareness, create space. So it's a wonderful work. So if you're interested, please contact me. And, you know, here's my phone number and here's my email. And yeah, if you're interested or if you're not sure, you want more information, we can talk about it. Or, you know, can even have a trial session if you want to experience it yourself, get a feel of it. So everything's possible. So thank you very much, and big invitation from my part. Thank you.